far, things seem to be going well. The Hangout on Live is the Hangout on Air is live. We had a lot of technical problems in that December 20th meeting, so I'm a little nervous, but so far so good. But yeah, a lot of the conversation there was about how we were feeling about the election. So, you know, I figured it was probably still on our hearts and minds. And so that's why I ended up writing the questions the way that I did. Kim B!
Hi, how you doing?
Join the Hangout. Happy New Year.
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Joelle.
Hey, how you doing, Kimberly?
Hi, Leonie.
Hello.
New Year.
Huh?
Echo.
Who has an echo?
Yeah, I do.
That just started when Kim came in?
Yeah. Okay, I'll go back out and try again.
Thank you. And I think we're waiting on Georgette. And after that, we can go on and get started. I'm not sure what the story is going to be with Benita. I don't think she's coming tonight. Kim?
Yes.
Say something.
That's better.
Is that better, Leonie?
Yep.
Okay. That's a lot of what was happening on December 20th, Joelle. A lot of echoing going on. You know, we've always had that problem with Nicole, who joins us by phone. But last time it was like happening with everybody, to the point that you know, it really wasn't. We almost couldn't do it. So I am a little concerned about that, because I don't know what, you know, what the problem is. I mean, Google and YouTube have been going through various growth pains, and you know, so I guess they are passing on that pain to the rest of us. But anyway, I'm glad to see everybody. Happy New Year, Kim.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah. I was telling Leonie I wore makeup today. So I hope you all enjoy it, because you know you don't see it very often. But I was wearing my red sweater, so I'm in a red mood, and you know this book has red accents, and
I like the earrings.
We talked about fire.
I like that.
Thank you. All right, so let me go red tonight. So I don't know. I just said, I'm trying to wait on Georgette a minute, because I think she's coming. I saw her liking something on our session 8 page. Have you talked to her, Joelle?
As far as I know, she is coming.
As far as you know, she's coming?
Yeah. She reminded me, so.
Oh, okay. Okay, and so Nicole said would be about 15 minutes late, because she is taking her son to the airport on his way back to school tonight. And Leonie, did you say you had a friend that might be interested in joining?
No, but I don't have anyone.
You don't have anyone? Where did I hear that?
I have someone that I'd like to see if she's interested, and I can just give her the link.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Jacqueline.
and Georgette is here.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Georgette.
Here.
Hey.
Hope you all enjoyed your holidays.
We did, and you?
Yeah. How about you?
It was nice. It was nice. Mhm.
Good, good. We're at the start of a new year. I was just thinking about the January of 2015. We were starting out with medical apartheid,
Wow.
and was it January 16th, 2016, or soon thereafter is when we got into When and Where I Enter. So January seems to be the time for our heavy loads, and I think this is going to be no different. So anyway, I do think we may as well go on and get started because, you know, some of us are quite talkative. I'm not going to call any names.
Okay.
But because Nicole is going to be a few minutes late,
Okay.
and I am not sure if Vanita is going to join us this session. And so I think she's definitely not coming tonight, but I'm not sure about the rest of the session. So she's trying to figure out whether or not she can fit us into her busy schedule.
It's not gonna be the same.
I know, and Joel, I told me Joel had to pull himself together if she's not here.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do we get a vote? Do we get a vote?
You know. But
Hey, okay.
Can't stay away. She'll be back. That's what that
Is
was.
is there anybody else getting an echo besides me?
Uh-oh.
No, I don't have one.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, I'm okay. You getting it on everybody, Joel?
Yeah, it might be me though.
It
I
might
have to
be
go
you
back in.
because what I'm getting from you is like it kind of goes in and out a little bit. Like I'm missing some of your words. Uh-oh.
Okay. Maybe he just decided to go out and come back in.
I hope that's
so.
Rather abrupt.
Yeah, there was no warning. Okay.
So I guess give Joel another minute to try to come back. Oh man, I was telling him, Georgette, about all the technical problems we had on December 20th, and so.
Man.
But tonight, things generally seem a lot better.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's good. Well, besides the technical difficulties, how did the rest of the meeting go?
well, we had a good time. I am, we didn't record it. So we really had a good time.
Okay. No secrets.
But of course it was December 20th, so a lot of the conversation was related to the election, which was still fresh, and it's still fresh.
Yes.
A lot of it, I think, was about Michelle Obama. Is that how you all recall it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a positive topic.
Not really.
Yeah.
What? What? No, Kim, no.
No. Some of us took issue with this Michelle.
Oh. You know, she likes to look on the bright side of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was she going to say? Y'all is now. She's going to say it. She ain't going to say that.
She wasn't gonna say that. But we said that. Yeah, because no matter what she says, we're all thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Here we go.
Georgette, you crazy.
Hey, that's just how I see it. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
All them folks in Kentucky and Tennessee on Obamacare. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I voted for him. I voted for him, but I voted for him.
Joel. Joel. Can we hear you now?
Hey,
Can you hear us?
yeah, I can hear.
Echo?
I can hear her. Yep,
You still
yep.
got that?
Well, it's okay. I can get along with it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Nicole, you made it.
Nicole. Hey.
Happy,
Nicole. Hi
Happy New
there.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year, everyone. It's great to see you all.
That's not a computer you're on now. I'm mad.
No, oh my gosh, I need to confess. So I did all the research. I figured out what computer I was going to purchase. And then I bought Disney World tickets instead of the.
Oh no, oh no.
So
Oh, no.
gonna surprise the twins for their birthday. And so, yeah, so the computer is just going to be my birthday gift next week, which, next month, I'm sorry, next month. So, which Audre, Lorde, and I are birthday twins. So,
I saw that. February 18th.
Yes.
I saw that, yeah.
he is my birthday twin. So, yeah, so computer's coming, but how's the reception right now?
It's good. Are you on your
Okay,
new phone?
good.
Are you on your new
A
phone?
new cell phone, though. I do have a new cell phone, so that's probably it. Yeah. What do they call it? Jump, upgrade, or whatever it's called. So anyway, I have that.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a good picture and good sound. So, we're happy.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying, I don't know if you heard me, Nicole, saying Vanita is not coming tonight. I'm not sure yet if she's going to join us this session. We do have one viewer, though, which could possibly be her. But anyway, let's go on and get started. And let me say welcome, everyone, to the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. We are launching tonight session 8, which runs from today, January 10th, 2017, through March 21st. And our book this session is called I Am Your Sister, Collected and Unpublished Writings of Audre Lorde, edited by Robert Byrd, Johnnetta B. Cole, and Beverly Guy-Sheftall. And you can learn more about the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle on Google+, YouTube, or Facebook. And I am your host, Michelle Odom. So welcome. And let's go around and introduce everybody. And like I said, I'm not sure that Vanita is going to join us this session, and that's why her name is not on the agenda. Because she did actually tell me that she's not going to join us, but then of course I started twisting her arm, so I'm waiting for her to realize that the pain of me twisting her arm is worse than whatever she has to go through to add us to her schedule.
What a good friend you are.
She comes to that realization. So the names that are listed in the agenda are listed actually according to the time in which people came into the book group. And you may have noticed that over a break or just recently, I published a list of all of the books that we've read. And then I went back over the list and identified who has participated in what session and when people join the group. I haven't published that part yet. But so anyway, what I realized was that Georgette and Vanita joined the reading circle on the same day, early in session 1. And then came Labib, who was with us for a few weeks, but he's no longer with us. But then came Joel, who, where's Joel now? Joel,
He just dropped out. Oh, no.
He just dropped out again. Who joined us like maybe the week before the end of session 1 and has been with us ever since. And then Kim joined us the first week of session 2, and then Nicole came during session 6, early in session 6, and Leonie came early in session 7. So we really have been, you know, a pretty steady group. And so the next thing I was going to do was confirm that Joelle was going to be our timekeeper for tonight, but you know, that's a little hard to do. With him being dropped out as he is.
Or to give you extra time. Or
yeah. So, well, you know what? Let's go around and have you all do your introductions, and maybe by the time we get to the end, he will be back. So I'm not going to call anybody's name. I'm just going to put the camera on you in the order that you have come into the reading circle.
okay. So that means me.
You want to call us?
Yes. Hey, everybody. I'm Georgette Moses, and I am in Columbia, South Carolina, and I'm happy to be here this January 2017 with the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. Yay! Okay.
Always our cheerleader. Welcome. I'm not gonna call it back.
Okay, we got to skip Joel, so it's Kim.
Kim Brandon. I'm in New York, and it is a pleasure to be here. Love the conversation.
Can y'all see who I put on the camera on?
No, we can only see
Yeah.
you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Nicole, you're next.
Okay. Hi there. My name is Nicole Wilson. I am joining from Houston, Texas. Glad to be here, as always.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm Leonie Smith, and I'm joining from Toronto, Canada. Always good to be.
All right, so y'all don't see when I put the camera on somebody. What do you see in the main screen?
We see whoever's talking, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, we are still down a timekeeper and member. Our our one male member, I wanted to tell him, um, as I think I told him already, I'm really a little bit worried about Joel with this book. I'm so proud of him. He has been, I think, very courageous and committed and diligent and all of that in sitting with this group of Black women, not just any women, Black women.
Okay.
And he has done it, and he is now on session 8. And but I know that he had a little bit of difficulty connecting to Alice Walker's book, We Are the Ones We've Been Waiting For, which was, kind of the abstract ideas. And in a sense, this book is similar. But this book sort of goes more directly to issues of Black feminism than on a theoretical level than anything else we've read. When and Where I Enter was really, a history book. It had a lot of facts and figures and names and dates and people and places and and so Joel, he loves history, so he could connect to that. This is going to be a little bit different. So, Georgette, you may have to work a little bit overtime.
Oh, no. Okay, I've been warned.
But I think if we could all, slow down a little bit and make sure we're not leaving him behind, that might be a good thing. So I'm going to try to wing it without a timekeeper unless he comes back. But we all know we want to try to limit ourselves to about 3 minutes per comment, and then give other folks a chance to jump in. And I'm going to put it off to the end, but I do want us to identify my moderators for the remainder of this session. So help me remember, please, to come back to that. Let me go on and read the summary. So tonight we are focused on the introduction, which is called Create Your Own Fire, Audre Lorde and the Tradition of Black Radical Thought. Quote, you cannot use someone else's fire. You can only use your own. And in order to do that, you must first be willing to believe that you have it. End quote. Audre Lorde. The entire book. What the heck was that? Did y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. The entire book, I Am Your Sister, collected in unpublished writings of Audre Lorde, edited by Rudolph P. Byrd, Johnnetta Betsch, and Beverly Guy-Sheftall, is about the fire created by Audre Lorde in the areas of civil rights, women's rights, gay and lesbian rights, and our consciousness around health issues over a 58-year lifespan between 1934 and 1992. Lorde is known for both her poetry and prose, as well as her uncommon willingness to publicly identify herself as a Black lesbian feminist, and how always, in all ways, she brought the fire. In the introduction, written by editor Rudolph P. Byrd, readers are treated to an overview of the ways in which Lorde struggled to ignite and tend to her own fire. Some of the early influences on her life, key experiences from her more mature years, The goals of the editors in producing this volume of previously published and unpublished prose. A summary of Lorde's relationship to the tradition of Black feminist thought and the women's movement, the value she placed on the erotic and women's health issues, and her insights on difference and oppression. Lorde's deep concern, wrote Byrd, with the lived experience of Black women wherever they are, derived from her recognition that the personal is political. Lorde used the particularities of her own life, her Blackness, her gender, and her sexuality in a valiant struggle for freedom that burns and resonates to this day, challenging the status quo on any number of issues, wrote Lorde. In our world, divide and conquer must become define and empower. Through her own distinctive spoken and written voice, Audre Lorde pointed us toward a livable, humane, democratic future, to the ways we can and must create our own fire, concluded Byrd. Finally, Rudolph P. Byrd's introduction outlines the book as follows. Part 1 includes groundbreaking essays from Sister Outsider and the complete text of A Burst of Light. Part 2 includes some of Lorde's published and unpublished nonfiction writings between 1976 and 89. Part 3 includes evidence of Lorde's deepening involvement in 3 social movements. Part 4 offers reflections by some of the women who knew and loved Audre Lorde: Johnnetta Cole, Alice Walker, Bell Hooks, Gloria Joseph, and Beverly Guy-Sheftall. Byrd connects Lorde's work to a tradition of Black feminist thought through his powerful introduction. Through the questions below, Loga Michelle connects Lorde's work to the politics of our time. Let's get it on. I want to say one thing though. This Sister Outsider, Nicole, the complete text of Sister Outsider is not included in this book. And so I am disappointed about that, particularly because that is where you find her essay on the erotic, of the erotic, which I just love. In fact, I really would love for us to have just a special session on that essay. But, you know, so I think like some of the most well-known pieces did not get included, probably because they felt they are so well-known. However, I think they should have included that. So I'm going to, you know, Audre Lorde, of course, was a New York State poet, a well-known poet, and we really could have a segment each week sharing some of her complimentary poetry. I think the poem, The Brown Menace, or Poem to the Survival of Roaches, is a good complement for tonight's discussion, but I'm going to skip reading it in the interest of time. But there is a link there to it, and I also want to encourage you as we go through the weeks to, you know, to feel free to bring in your own pieces from her work if you'd like to, or someone else's. Also, let me just make a footnote that all of the public documents related to session 8 are going to say that we end on March 21st. However, there is a private session scheduled for March 28th, the week after. So I want you all to keep that in mind. There are 2 private sessions that you'll find listed in the outline that I put out a couple of weeks ago. Those came about, let me see, what are the dates? February 21st and March 28th are private sessions. Those came about, Georgette and Joelle, because when we had the private session on December 20th and did not record it, the folks that were there felt like we need some time on a regular basis, you know, to just be with each other without, you know, Big Brother breathing down on us. And that actually has been a desire, you know, among some members from the beginning. Randy always thought that, you know, we should do it on a regular basis. So that is incorporated into the session 8 agenda. So let's get started with key point number 1, fire. And whoever reads it, why don't you read everything under, well, I don't know. I probably have too many questions, right? Read everything under 1, and then just let us respond to whatever we want to respond to. Leonie, why don't you read that for us?
Sure. Fire. A. Audre Lorde's quote on personal fire. You cannot use someone else's fire. You can only use your own. And in order to do that, you must first be willing to believe that you have it. Makes me think about the issue of jealousy in the Black community. 1. Have you ever felt that someone was jealous of you? And if so, how did it make you feel, or what did you think about it? In what ways does jealousy impact our ability to progress as a community? How might one go about creating their own personal fire? B. We find a Negro woman, figuratively and doubtless literally, struck in the face daily by contempt from the world about her. Nevertheless, she is measuring up to the needs of her family, community, and race, and radiating a hope throughout the land, wrote 20th century feminist pioneer Elise Johnson McDowell in her landmark essay, The Task of Negro Women. 2. In your opinion, are Black women still radiating hope and measuring up to the needs of her family, community, and race? What do we think of this role of hope radiator? C. Recently, 12/19/16, Michelle Obama said in an interview by Oprah Winfrey, "We feel the difference now. We are feeling what not having hope feels like. Hope is necessary. It's a necessary concept, and Barack didn't just talk about hope because he thought it was just a nice slogan to get votes. He and I, and so many, believe that what else do you have if you don't have hope? What do you give your kids if you can't give them hope?" One of El Michelle's Facebook friends reacted to Mrs. Obama's comment quite cynically. He sees it as political posturing, plain and simple. 3. How do you see Florida's remarks? Political posturing or emotional necessity? Also, what do you give your kids if you can't give them hope?
Oh,
Thank you.
those are very good questions.
Thank you.
I'll just, let me go with number 1 then. Have I felt that someone was jealous of me? I think maybe when I was a younger woman, you know, I really haven't felt that way in a long, long time. I can be very transparent and admit that perhaps I have been a little, you know, jealous of but it was, I don't know, it was, I guess, yeah, it was jealousy. I have this a sister friend, and she is like, oh my God, brilliant. And so we often have conversation. We're usually discussing African American lit, and of course she knows, she and I, we love women's lit, Black women's, Black transnational women's study. And so what I find with her is that, you know how we've discussed like levels of analyses. So I'm at like 2 and she's already at 6. And there have been moments where I've had this impulse to kind of feel inadequate because she's like layering her analyses, and I feel like, okay, hold on, let me catch up, you know. So, but let me say, dealing with that, I mean, first, you know, I kind of see it as that, like that Lacanian mirror phase, and I had to understand the way in which she deals with literature and her levels of analyses. I desire that. And so kind of, you know, we talk about like the real, the imaginary, and the symbolic. And I desire that. I love to read. I love to analyze lit. And it's a desire of mine. But what I had to do is be constructive with it. And, you know, and honestly, I just had to say to her, okay, hang on. I love what you're discussing. You know, let's go through each layer, you know, singularly. And I've only grown as a result of that. It wasn't, you know, an issue whereby I needed to cower and hide from that challenge, but it has only allowed me to grow in that moment. So that's, and she is so very aware of her fire, and she's constantly encouraging me to, you know, take the reins, do what you need to do in your program, stop seeking validation, if, you know, as it were. And so, and I can honestly say, now that I've gotten past that, I really appreciate her. So that's my spiel on number one.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? 1, 2, or 3? Well, yeah, y'all gotta grease grease the brain cells. I tell you,
I guess it's gotten a little personal here, Michelle.
I will. No, I told you, Benita may not join us, but I told her, I said, I can't lead a book group. You know, I have to be there, because when we take breaks that are too long, I start reading all these crazy things, seeing all this man. I called her up. I was telling her a story about a transgender white man in Canada who left his family at 23 years to become a 6-year-old girl. I said, I need the book group.
Oh, okay, that's way out there, Michelle.
Yes. So if it's taking y'all a minute to get back in shape, I understand.
I'll go. Yeah, I'm saying I'm going to go. I think that because of slavery and that we just finished post-traumatic slave syndrome, I think that's just a tool that was used to kind of keep us from being united. Because there's so many things. It's like skin tone and hair and all these external things that as you get closer to looking like you're, I'm sorry?
What was a tool? Jealousy?
Yes, jealousy and one-upmanship. So if you were closer to the standard of what white was or what was acceptable, and for nothing that you did, all of a sudden you were acceptable by the master or the system. And I think that created a bitterness and a jealousy that we still need to recover from. That somehow there's this belief that there can only be one. There can only be one good Negro. And you ain't it. So I think that creates this lack of a need to unify And I see that less and less today. I think the younger people don't have that as badly as generations before. I really see a lot of acceptance. And for me, I've never been really jealous. I find myself oblivious to when people are jealous of me, and it creates issues because sometimes I don't see my own fire, and sometimes you know your fire is burning bright when you get the haters, and a lot of times I just don't realize how brightly my fire is burning until all of a sudden I get shade, and I'm just trying to figure out where'd that come from. Well, if I can do it, I always feel like if somebody else can do something, show me how to do it. That's why I don't have a lot of jealousy. I just feel like, show me how to do it. And I'm so impressed that you were able to do this, and show me, and then I'll show somebody else, and then there'll be 4 of us that know how to do it, 5 of us. So I think that the more we can see how wonderful it is to achieve more. And then the last thing I just want to say is, sometimes we are fighting over crumbs when the prize is so much bigger. When I look at all the development that's going on here where I live, it's just amazing that sometimes we get caught up in these little teeny exchanges when there's so much money out there on the table. So I hope I answered the question. That's it.
Thank you. Joelle, we are trying to wing it without a timekeeper because we didn't know when you were going to make it back. Can you hear us any better now?
Yeah, I got you. Everything's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you can kind of help keep us on track.
Okay.
Does anybody want to respond to question 2 about radiating hope, or 3, Michelle Obama's take on hope?
Well, I can. Number 3. I listened to that clip of the interview that she had with Oprah Winfrey, and I must say I didn't think it was political posturing, or I just felt that it was very deliberate and transparent, because she was speaking from a place in which, let's face it, it was a great defeat, and that everyone was saying that no, this can't happen. And then when you have someone to come in like this person, she was just thinking what probably 68 million people plus was actually feeling. So one of those things, if when you have these emotions, hope or fear or hate, if you don't have hope, what are you going to replace that emotion with? What are you going to replace it with if there isn't hope, for the future? What are you going to tell your kids? People are going to replace it with something, and so if you don't try to start replacing it and rebuilding what they've been trying to do for 8 years, you're going to have despair and hate, which we all see what that can do, and hatred. And so I think she was speaking from a place that was very painful, right after a time that they're trying to recover and get out and start anew, So it was very eye-opening. So I don't know what you tell your kids if you can't give them hope. Thank God I've never been in that place where, I couldn't speak that, but there's, parts of the world that I've been to, many parts of the world that I've been to that I don't even know how to even make it. I don't even know, there's not any opportunity. You know, I've been to places where children go to the copper mines for 30 cents a day. You know, I mean, 6 years old. I never will forget that. I got a picture of that. But I don't know what you would tell somebody like that.
Thank you. Anybody else? 1, 2, or 3?
I guess just for me, just in terms of replacing hope, I hope that I don't have to, but I would replace it with vision. That and Michelle, I love when you talk about your 500-year plan. And so I just think that when I'm talking to my child, to just kind of say, well, we have to see the solution. We have to start to look at where we want to be, what communities we want to build, and then every day just take a small action towards that. So as long as you have a vision, your feet should go in that direction. So work. I think that's my thing, is that have your vision and keep working towards that vision.
Thank you. I think I'll take a stab at question 2, which is, in your opinion, are Black women still radiating hope and measuring up to the needs of her family, community, and race? And what do we think of this role of hope radiator? Well, I don't know about measuring up, because I think that the challenges before us are enormous, and which is what leads me to the 500-year plan, Ken. When I think of measuring up, I think of successfully meeting the challenge, and I don't know that I think we're really doing that. However, I do think that we continue to play the role of generating hope for the Black community. And I think a great current example of that is the work that's being done by Black Lives Matter. As much energy has gone into criticizing and negating and tearing down and belittling and and threatening the work that they do by both Blacks and whites. Nevertheless, there is the leadership of these Black women saying something has to be done about this particular problem of killing people in the streets. And whether they succeed, whether they measure up, that is another question. But I definitely think that they are succeeding in the role of offering hope, offering a vision, offering a way to respond. And so I asked the question, what do we think about this role of being the hope generator? Because I think I was kind of also seeing it in connection with Audre Lorde's notion of creating your own fire, So it's kind of like we have been producing hope. Oh, don't!
Now we have this argument.
We have been putting out our good vibes and pumping up everybody's demoralized, negative attitude, and trying to help people feel like there is a way. But I think there is sort of a line between that and giving away our own power and giving away our own fire. And how do you, how do you walk that line? So I don't know. I think that Black American women have traditionally been willing to play the role of hope generator. But that, I think increasingly, that's not true anymore, or it's less true. And so I do wonder what it means for the community, when Black women are not playing the role of hopester. All right, well.
I'm wondering, how far that reaches this idea of Black women being hope radiators. And I'm just wondering, in terms of other people's experience or even readings of Black lives, whether it's through literature or through other works, whether or not other people think that connection around Black women being hope radiators is something that translates outside of the United States of America.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm guessing it's a global role that we play.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have a problem with. I think I probably have a problem with the word hope. And I don't. Yeah, I question whether or not that role is the same for Black people throughout the world, for Black women especially. This idea that things will always get better and things can always be better, and I just don't know how international that is as a flavor or way of living.
So you feel like that's like an Americanist read of that the terminology, or the cultural logic associated with?
I think so. Yeah, that I would say it's very this idea that things will always get better. I do find that to be very American.
Right. Yeah, when I think about it, I guess having you voice that does make a lot of sense because, of course, the mythology of America is that notion that, you can be whatever you want and have what you desire as long as you work hard enough. For it. You can always pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So I guess embedded in that ethos is that Americanist perspective is probably, that's a good way of putting it. We're probably expressing an Americanist perspective there. That makes sense.
Well, that's an interesting argument you have, Leonie, that hope. And you're relating it to this Pollyanna type image where, the sun is going to shine. The sun will come out tomorrow. Come on, we just got to keep chugging away. But perhaps not as much hope as going back to Michelle's word vision. And then I wanted, and Kim, vision and your plan, having a plan a goal to move towards, and gathering people, being able to take your fire and light other people's fire and bring it in, to move forward toward whatever that goal and that vision is, because you've seen a need. And perhaps, and I don't see that as, as Black American women not going, that being singularly a Black American woman experience, but because I'm thinking about Black women in other countries in Africa, and they saw a need. I read a Facebook post recently about the older Black women who were being raped, so they started doing martial arts, and changed what was going on in their life, in their space that they could control. And so if other people are exposed to whatever that idea, that little spark, that flame, then it will spread. And, I think maybe that's part of the radiating. If someone somewhere searching for an answer, searching for, a way to direct the energy towards a problem that they're having, that they see because they're aware of it in their community, then seeing how someone else solves or approaches a solution to their problem will spark something in them to search for something, a way to solve it. So I know the words, they sound simple, but there are more meanings. It's really deeper than hope. Perhaps we don't have, quite the words to express it. But and when you relate it to, Michelle Obama's, let's have hope still. Well, what else will we have except crawl into our shells and our own brains go, depend on some drug of choice to escape the realities? Or we can choose to look for a way to change our situation until we can't anymore. Because you either live or you die, and if you choose to live, then you have to look for ways to live as actively and as thoroughly as possible,
That's interesting. The more like, may I quickly? The more that you explain that, Gio, I began to kind of, okay, so I definitely agree with Leonie. Perhaps there is like we have to kind of check to see if we're also presenting, that Americanist perspective, but also what's rooted in the Judeo-Christian, these civilizations. And so I think that's that other thing, because, in our nation, we've been so rooted in Christianity and its notion of an afterlife and so forth, and, and kind of those ways in which hope becomes an extension of that. I don't know. I guess if we look at, we could look at the way the term it's operationalized here, but I guess in that context, why don't we call it, I don't know, a shifting of a narrative, a laboring? I don't know why. If we're talking about a plan and a vision, then why use the term hope? I guess that's where I'm stuck, because there is very much so this notion that, it's going to get better. Again, going back to the Christianity and those traditions, but it's going to get better by and by,
Yes.
So,
Hope and faith are very strongly connected. And, I don't have the benefit of living in a country where there's like a lot of scholarship around Blackness. That doesn't happen in Canada, because for all kinds of reasons, right? Like it's a newer thing, and Blackness is very diverse here, right? Like there isn't a huge group of people who have share the same history here. So most of the things that I read are American, and more kind of Caribbean, because of some of my affinities there. And one of the things that I find so, I question all the time is where this talk of hope and faith comes from African Americans. Like, I was reading Jessamine Ward's The Fire This Time, and Isabel Wilkerson's essay in that, and she's, at the end, she's like, well, you have to have faith. And I'm like, did you just read what you just wrote? Like, why do you have to have faith? Like, I don't get it. And
all right. Well, we're not gonna get it. It's been centuries in the making. So let's move on to section 2. And Georgette, would you read that entire section, please, through question 6?
Okay. The personal is political. D. Lorde's deep concern with the lived experience of Black women, wherever they are, wrote Byrd, derived from her recognition that the personal is political. Question 4. What does this expression, the personal is political, mean to you? E. By living her life out loud, openly identifying herself as a lesbian, Lorde helped to make the invisible visible and is credited in Byrd's introduction with helping to reduce the isolation and fear of those who remain closeted about their sexuality. Question 5. What do you think about this? How has or is more openness about sexuality changing our society, and what do you think of these changes? F. Lorde was among key figures who advanced gay and lesbian studies through her work. She helped us to better understand the meaning and practices of homophobia and heterosexualism, honing in on how such practices kept Black women isolated and apart, reminding us of our sisterhood. And question 6, where are we now? Are homosexual and heterosexual Black women more understanding of each other than we were during Audre Lorde's lifetime, in your opinion?
Thank you. Anybody? 4, 5, or 6?
I could definitely say with the fallout with Kim Burrell. Did you all hear about that?
Sort of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I could see
Georgette,
what Lorde.
So give us a little summary. That does not count against her time, Joelle.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
So Kim Burrell is, I would even say definitely national, perhaps maybe even internationally known gospel singer. She's also a pastor here in Houston, Texas. And recently, I think was that a New Year's Eve sermon or something, but anyway, she talked about that God is not pleased with homosexuality, homosexuals are, practicing that's perversion, and that ultimately they're going to meet their demise. And there's been such backlash regarding that. It's interesting that the movie Hidden Figures, Kim Burrell was the singer Burrell on one of the tracks, and she had been disinvited for promo and so forth regarding that movie. I heard it. I've not heard the song. I heard it's a beautiful song. And disinvited from appearing on Ellen, and the fallout has just continued. Texas Southern University here in Houston, it's an HBCU, and they've canceled her radio show. I mean, they're just, hitting her in the pocket.
Okay.
So what I've noticed on, in particular on Twitter, and Black Twitter in particular, is what Lorde described when she talks about the racism in the LGBTQIA communities and the homophobia or practice of heterosexism in the cisgender communities. And I saw just some very alarming things that they were saying about her, as a result of that. And now, of course, we could debate ideology and so forth, but it's like fat shaming and talking about her appearance. It was troubling, to say the least. So I do not think I think that shows that we've not made the advancements. We're not where we need to be. I think we have a quite a way to go.
Thank you. Anybody else? I was glad to see the backlash toward Kim Burrell. You know, I do think that it says something. I mean, there's certainly still a lot of homophobia and heterosexism happening, but you know, but I think we can also see progress, which of course is a point of view, because one woman's progress, you know, is another's, you know, problem. I thought it was great. I'm on question 5. What do you think of how has or is more openness about sexuality changing our society, and what do you think of these changes? I know I thought it was great, you know, in my younger years, that society seemed to be becoming more open and allowing people to be whoever they naturally are. And I understood in my younger years why there was a need for this sort of in-your-face approach, you know, i.e. Audre Lorde, who, you know, almost always identified herself as a lesbian. And I think you needed to do that in an era when people were pretty much being forced to stay in the closet. And it was brave and courageous, and you know, and all of that, to be able to stand up and publicly say who you are. I have to admit, though, I'm getting a little concerned in my older years that we may be tilting a little in the opposite direction. You know, and I'm one that always favors balance. So even though I personally am an extremist in a lot of ways, I'm always trying to move myself. No, I'm not done, Joelle. I'm always trying to move myself toward balance. So I'll tell you, like the other day, I had to go and see this pulmonary doctor. And so, you know, when you go to the doctor's office, they always have you fill out some paperwork when you first get there. So I'm filling out the paperwork, and I'm telling you, there were a truckload of questions about my sexuality. Starting with what is my preferred gender pronoun.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
Now, the first time I heard that expression, it did kind of trip me out. I remember I was in a meeting at Black Women's Blueprint maybe about 4 years ago. And they were in a circle and going around introducing each other. And someone said, well, tell us, you know, what is your preferred gender pronoun? So I'm like, she? I didn't really know how to answer the question. So I need 2 more minutes, Joelle. So I wasn't thrown by the question on the doctor's form the other day, but I was thrown by the number of questions about my sexuality. And so I can't even remember what they were, but it was like a bunch of questions. And, you know, it just felt like I'm here to see a pulmonary doctor, not a gynecologist. You know, and it just felt like in everything we're getting to the point where the first thing out of people's mouth is, who you fucking? And I don't know that I want to be having that conversation with everybody all the time.
Yes.
So I don't know. That's my concern. I'm done.
That a little bit. I just speak to that a little bit. I spent many years on the board of a community health center, and I think that part of the reason why that happens, or certainly part of the reason for my understanding of why we're seeing that, is because there are more and more people who identify as trans, and those questions are meant to surface that. Because I know, for example, I was a participant or an audience member in a presentation by a group of trans people around healthcare. And the example that this trans man gave was that he basically, you know, had like, you know, all these questions that a doctor was asking. And at no time did he reveal to the doctor that he was a trans man. So,
and you're right, a lot of the questions were geared toward trans stuff. Yeah.
So it was kind of like the expectation that, I mean, I'll put it in eloquently, from this trans man was that, like, you need, as a doctor, you need to ask me these screening questions in order for you to discover that I'm trans. Like, it's not up to me to disclose that I'm trans, because that way, you know, there's other, you know, in this case, this trans man would need, like, you know, like a pap smear and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm just sharing that as an from my understanding of why that is.
Well,
and I also yeah. So I think that it's a lot more questions, and it's meant to just to cover off everything, so that people don't have to explicitly say I'm this or I'm that or whatever. But I think to go to the question that you have here, this is really interesting to me, because we kind of had a situation in Toronto where this intersected this idea of kind of like, so the Black Lives Matter Toronto group shut down the Pride Parade in Toronto last summer.
Oh, wow.
And the Pride Parade is a very big deal. Like, I think it's number 2 right after Caravana. Like, there's 1 million people that show up in the city for the Pride Parade. And they shut it down at the busiest intersection in the city, stopped the thing for half an hour. And I think that the question of personal becoming political was really at the center of it, because when you heard their reasons, it was basically like the Pride Parade is a big marketing exercise, essentially, right? And I see this too in terms of how issues around LGBTQ and the whole community is discussed, is that, you know, so as a marketing exercise, participating in the parade are the police and the military. And Black Lives Matter just basically asked the question, like, why are they here? Like, this is why Black LGBT people do not go to the Pride Parade, because you keep inviting these people here who harass us daily. And so it started a conversation about, in this public space around, and in this case, the Pride Parade, and I guess in general, the gay community in Toronto, how much space is being created for ideas around Blackness or inclusion, or you know, how is there a recognition that there's a narrative that's different in terms of being from the LGBTQ community if you are not white or rich or, you know, whatever. So I think it's very interesting that I think that there's a lot of acceptance, obviously growing acceptance around what's happening with the LGBTQ community that's happening, and I think that it's great. But I think that those communities in particular have to be careful that they don't normalize kind of like the white experience, because the experience can be very different for people of color. Like there's a lot, again, because of my experience on this health board, there's a lot of exploitation of people of color within the LGBTQ community. And it has like dire consequences, like of people coming to the city and being taken advantage of because they don't know the language and they're being, you know, eroticized by white people in that community, and then being exposed to something like HIV or something like that. It's just, yeah. So it's just it's a very interesting question, because I know for myself, like my friends who are within that community who are Black, like I don't know any Black people who are friends of mine who would go to the Pride Parade in Toronto.
Wow.
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 You know that, if I may, that goes back to the to the Kim Burrell situation and the African American church here in America. You know, with homosexuality and the whole nine. And everybody has been to a Black church. You kind of get where I'm going with that. It's almost like, you know, just don't say anything about it. You know what I mean? And you do have, you know, especially from, you know, the denomination I grew up in, you know, Church of God in Christ, you know, they are, you know, dead set against it. That's why playing devil's advocate, you know, with Kim Burrell, that is not uncommon, and she's speaking to a group of people in her denomination that's very well accepted, and she'll be embraced by TBN for standing up like that. You know what I mean? And she might have some backlash, but quietly it'll be, you know, her actions will be embraced. You know, and it will not be accepted by my denomination. I don't care what people say. You know what I mean? They're just not going to do it. I mean, my denomination won't allow a female to get into a pulpit, period. You know, I mean, it's the biggest Pentecostal movement in America, Church of God in Christ. You know, so I think, and that kind of, you know, in my opinion, that kind of, you know, draws, you know, the backlash that she receives, you know, which is the norm of her church. I can tell you that. It's the norm of her church of homophobia and her freedom to express religion, of course. And then they will look at it as religious persecution for her beliefs. So that's a kind of a very thin line, you know, where you say, you know, is she right? Is she wrong? Is it a social norm? You know, it's against social norms. Well, hey, my denomination teaches don't be of the world. Period. You know, don't do as they do. You know, if the Bible calls it a sin, it's a sin. You know, and so, you know, y'all see where I'm coming from with that?
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you bringing the devil into the discussion. Speaking of devils, as you were talking about that, it was making me think about Donald Trump. And
we ain't got but 10 minutes. You really want to start that?
And you know, I agree. There are a lot of Black people who agree with Kim Burrell and will support her with their dying breath, just as there are a lot of white people who agree with Donald Trump and will support him to their dying breath. And you know, I don't know that the fact that you have a wide audience is necessarily an indicator of what is best or right,
Right.
for humanity. And so, you know, one of the things, and I want to move us on to the next section, but one of the big pieces of Audre's theorizing was around difference and how to use difference as a strength. But when you have these kinds of differences that are so extreme, it's quite the challenge. So why don't we move on to the next section? And Nicole, would you read all of section 3, please?
Yes. Beauty and difference. Lorde is also credited with heightening awareness around women's health issues among Black feminists, documenting her journeys with cancer and efforts to control her own life and medical care, and the sense of urgency gained from her struggle with this disease. Also, her work provided us with a new critical social theory that provides us with the grammar and vocabulary to describe and define difference and the complex nature of oppression, wrote Byrd, page 21. Many commentators suggested through the most recent presidential election cycle that Donald Trump may be the wake-up call Americans need to begin paying attention to and challenging the rightward shift and innumerable injustices meted out by the U.S. government and American society on people of color and more vulnerable citizens. Number 7. Speaking of Trumpism as a disease and considering the complex nature of oppression, what thoughts do you have about the need for this particular kind of a wake-up call? Do you see Trump's victory as providing Americans with a needed sense of urgency? Or do you see something else happening in the body politic? Number 8. I've heard it said that Black women are taking Trump's election harder than anyone else. Hey, I may have been the one to say it. Do you think Black women see something in this election that perhaps others do not? And if so, what might we see? Those are very good questions. Anybody? Okay, well, I'll take.
Okay. We have a lot left. Go ahead and do I.
Go. So G. So what am I doing? So
no,
G.
I'm sorry,
Skip
do
H.
Do H.
Do H? Okay, H. Difference is that raw and powerful connection from which our personal power is forged. Audre Lorde, page 24. Number 9, what do you think of Lorde's assertion? Is difference a strength or a weakness? What do you think Trump supporters would say about Lorde's assertion on difference? Would they agree or disagree with Audre Lorde's view of difference? And
Let's stop with that and let people respond to 7, 8, or 9.
Okay.
Anybody?
I don't know if Black women are taking Trump's election harder, because I have read some whole essays online and come to the bottom, and Bob in Wisconsin? White Bob in Wisconsin, is crying about Trump.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of disappointed people out there. And the more the fiasco reveals itself, and especially the situation with Russia and our security, and he's just so lackadaisical. He's appointing his son-in-law as chief advisor to the White House. It's just really, I can't see anyone who tries to operate sanely in America and abide by the rules, not being supremely disturbed by everything that's happened since he won the electoral college, because it's
right, because we were holding out hope.
Yes, that word again, hope.
Mm-hmm.
But man, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Georgette.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying I would piggyback. I definitely agree with you. And I would piggyback off what you said about, this contention with Russia. I can recall being a little girl and, always learning, in a historical context, the threat of Russia. But what I find so interesting is, first of all, when you talk about him appointing family members and the practice of nepotism here,
Yes.
the way in which Donald Trump uses kinship and gets away with it. And kinship, historically, when we think about the practice of diaspora and the Black church tradition in America, that has been our theme. Kinship, Black folks, and the communal, the collective. And we've gotten, I believe, I'd argue, so far away from that. And it's almost, it's dystopic to see this white male deploy and mobilize kinship the way that he has done it, and it's continuing and continuously does it. And it's so interesting. It's mind-boggling almost.
Well, what's disturbing is because he's doing openly what has always been done privately. We never know, because these people would have last names that are different because they married these people. And then you find out when you look on Wikipedia, oh, this is so-and-so's child. They own diamond mines. What are they doing in the news? CNN news anchor. Where will they be next month? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he is just throwing it all in everyone's face because that's his personality, which is self-destructive, in my opinion. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Joel.
Being that I am a Cold War veteran as well, because I came in 1982, and Georgette, you're a Cold War veteran. We used to do the reforger, return forces to Europe back in the early 80s before the wall came down and all that. You have some people some senators and congressmen and everything that are very opposed to Russia. Russia is not a trading adversary like China. Russia is an enemy. If I would have to really say, from my military experience and whatnot, they are a true enemy. When you're talking about the Baltic states and you're talking about the breaking down of NATO, the security of Europe and the whole 9 yards, and then you're going to have a president that's going to be a pawn of Putin, that's almost treasonous.
Right.
I'm using this. I'm just holding out for hope that this fool is doing some crazy stuff that he has absolutely no business doing. And trust me, there are some. It's just like Senator Schumer said the other day. You're gonna mess with the CIA and the intelligence agencies. They got 6 hard ways on a Sunday to get back at you. And he's going around thinking that generals, I'm telling you, generals, which I have been in the presence of, that they're decorated and they're warm and fuzzy and patriotic. These are these are killers. They are people that want power, they want to kill, they want to start wars, and he thinks he's just going to push them around. And I'm sorry to say, but our basic hope of democracy as we know it actually rely on the military and them keeping him in check and doing what they're supposed to do. And that's not a good place for a democracy to be, for the military to protect your democracy domestically. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's the next thing to tyrannism, and military takeover. But to keep this idiot from doing something that's unthinkable, with our war assets is just, I don't feel safe with this guy. He's damn crazy as hell. And then the other part of that, he is doing something that's setting up like his family is ruling America. He really think he really think that the world is real easy. He really think that America is a big company to run. It's up to the people that we pay, that I have very little faith in, to really just put him in check. They really have to put it up.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything on 7, 8, or 9?
I just wanted to comment on 9, especially the question around what do you think Trump supporters would say about Lorde's assertion on difference? Or would they agree about or disagree with Lorde's view on difference? So I get the sense with Trump supporters that they are all against difference. That it really is about it really is about assimilation.
Every kind.
Yes.
You don't, even if you don't look like us, you should talk like us, you should think like us, you should have the same values of us. I don't think that difference is something, and they're not subtle about it, like they're just not interested in difference, like, at all. They don't like the fact that they live in a country that's multicultural. They don't like the fact, I mean, they don't like anything that's outside of the narrative of
White.
Make America Great Again.
And actually, Leonie, a white guy that is a friend of mine pointed out to me that all the white women in New York have the same nose because as a 16th birthday present, they all want this nose, and that's the plastic surgery is what they get. And I hadn't even noticed it, but now when I'm moving through the city, I'm looking at people's noses. They really like sameness.
I mean, there's a lot of standards that are like more reflective of what you would see in a society like China or Japan or whatever, like where they have these very narrow notions of what good looks like. You know, someone told me about in China, one of the biggest trends now is the A4 trend, which is that your body should not be wider than a piece of A4 paper, which is a letter-sized piece of paper.
Oh my God!
And kind of like, so, you know,
I know.
They're gonna die.
Celebration of sameness. You know, everyone has to fit the same narrative that these Trump supporters like.
Yeah.
It's a great delusion. The Electoral College is the reason why they got power, because there's not. I mean, they're living in La La Land.
Yeah.
Well, you're living in La La Land if, you know, we don't want the Affordable Health Care Act, but we want our kids to stay on the insurance. We want to keep pre-existing conditions. We want them to stay on the kids to stay on the 26 and, you know, the whole 9 yards. And then they did a survey. They said most of the people that signed up for the Affordable Health Care Act was in Wisconsin, Ohio, Pennsylvania, were white working class white males. and they're the one that voted Trump in. Yeah, in Wisconsin, you know, and they're the ones who's getting ready to lose the damn thing. You know, go figure.
Right.
And Mitch McConnell and Mitch McConnell's state is the only Republican state, Kentucky, that voted to expand Medicaid from the Affordable Care Act. Go freaking figure, you know?
Right.
He's getting ready to kick like 800,000 people from his state off the roll.
Right.
But
That to me goes to the question about wake up call. You know, I mean, we're always hearing this idea that people are asleep, they don't know what's going on, they don't care about anything, yada yada. They need a wake up call, and so, you know, that may be true, but this is a harsh one. This is going to be a really harsh one. And so what you're saying about loss of insurance, health insurance, Joel, that is just the very tip of the iceberg. So I'm, I can embrace a little bit of tough love and all of that, but this is too much. This is too
You have lives that are actually lives are on the line. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not about healthcare is healthcare. Like, it's a
Yes.
very big deal. Wow.
Well,
So
we'll see.
Sorry.
You know, one thing about black folk, you know, we already feel the pain. It's just, you know, anyway, we don't really expect much out of the system anyway, because we don't receive as much as they want to make it look like that we receive from the system. We most definitely don't get out of the system as much as we collectively pay in, you know. But
Sure.
we'll see who'll be hollering from Tennessee to Texas to Minnesota and South Dakota when the shizer really hit the fan here in about a year or two.
Oh Lord.
it's gonna be ugly.
Just to piggyback on Joel.
Anyway, I'm glad that we, Kim.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on what Joel is saying. I'm amazed at how racism trumps intelligence, because most of the Trump voters make over $100,000 a year. I thought it was these folks who were struggling, but there are a lot of middle class people that have voted for Trump, and when they look to see how this is going to hurt them detrimentally, it doesn't matter as long as they're still standing on us. As long as we go down deeper than they go down, they're fine.
It's
But
insane.
they don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah.
He can't get the money from the people on the bottom. He's gonna get it from the ones that's making $100 a year. They gonna pay the price. You
They
know,
gonna pay
you
the
can't
price.
get blood. They gonna pay the price. You know,
They gonna pay the price.
they don't get it. They had this fool. I mean, I call him a fool openly, because he was on there CNN, a group of the other Sunday, this past Sunday, and they saying, and Sunday said, well, you know, he told him how the affordable health care has helped him about to lose the house, and mama needed new shoes, and the dog about to fucking die, and then and did you vote for Trump? Yeah, I voted for Trump. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Right.
They are crazy.
Sunday Google looked at him and was like, interesting, you voted for Trump? Yeah, I voted for him. Don't know what I'm gonna do though. Hopefully, I thought he could probably make it better. Repeal. Did you not read the memo on that? I'm just like, geez.
It's going to be interesting. And it's also interesting to me in reading through this book, how when you think of the life and times of Audre Lorde, how little has changed. I mean, yeah, there's been some change, you know. The openness around homosexuality is an example of change, and I think progress. But so much remains the same. You know, her key involvements were in gay and lesbian rights, women's rights, and civil rights. And so when you think about civil rights and the rollbacks going on there, and well, Donald Trump is just a threat to all of this. All of it.
Yes.
And it's not just Donald Trump, but it is the dangerous people by which he surrounds himself, the many people who may be asleep or not, who support him out of fear or racism or whatever it is going on with them. You know, we're living in an era of mass gun buildup among private gun owners in the country. So, you know, there's a lot that's going to be going on, and so I think it's interesting that we happen to be reading a book that is about a woman who died in 1992. But we will be able to connect the issues that she was dealing with in her lifetime very much to the issues that we have to confront today. And so I'm going to hold in abeyance, given the hour. It's 8 o'clock, a little after 8. Questions 10 and 11 and 12. But, you know, I do think they're kind of interesting questions, so maybe we can look at them at another time. But before we go, I do want us to take a minute to look at the outline, which I did not post today. But basically what I did is try to put approximately 25 pages, as I do always, in a session, in a meeting. So our next meeting is next week, January 17th, chapters 1 to 3. Any takers? Don't all speak at once.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Thank you.
Okay,
and remember, we did say that facilitation is as easy as asking people to pick out a paragraph that was meaningful to them, you know, and just having some impromptu discussion around that. So, you know, I don't want anybody sweating it. You know, y'all ain't never gonna be able to keep up with me, so don't even think about it.
It's okay. There's no jealousy there.
You said it's not a competition. You ain't jealous. So.
We love you. We love you, Michelle. We love your brain. It's cool. It's all good.
But okay, who wants the following week? 124 chapters 4 to 6. And let me say that the voices, you know, I talked earlier about how the book is outlined, and so you start off with this very kind of heavy introduction by Byrd, which is one of the reasons that I decided I would just go on and do that. Then after that, we get into the actual writing of Audre Lorde, and that's the bulk of the book. And those writings are much more user-friendly because she's a great writer. And then the last few chapters are friends of hers reflecting, you know, whatever they have to reflect. And so the voice changes throughout the course of this book. So
what's on the table now? Chapters 4 to 6? Is that what you're looking for?
yes, for January 24th, Leonie.
Yeah, that's. I'll give it a shot.
Thank you. And then the following week, the following 2 weeks are lead up to a break, but the following 2 weeks are chapter 7, January 31st and February 7th. And I kind of tried to break it in the middle because it's a long chapter. And so I don't know what version of the book everyone is reading. But if you're reading this version, then I would start with pages 81 to 115 and deal with that in 1 week on January 31st. And then on February 7th, come back and deal with the remainder of the chapter.
You know what? I don't mind taking January 31st, but I have just a small concern. I have a class that I'm teaching. I have an evening class, and so I'm probably going to have to leave out of the session about 10 to 15 minutes early, just so I can make it there on time, but I definitely will take it. I'd love to take the 31st and the 14th, March 14th.
The 14th is our break. Could you do
No, March March 14th.
Oh, March 14th, chapter
Yeah.
17 to 24.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will put you down. I'm not going to go that far
That's
out.
far? Okay.
To give people a chance to kind of get into the book, because I think that's, that's maybe why there's some hesitancy.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Is anybody open though to doing the other half of chapter 7 on February 7th?
I can do that.
Kim?
Yes.
Okay. Great. All right. So then we'll do the rest of the outline next week.
Okay.
So, but just so you'll know, February 14th, Valentine's Day, we have a break. Then February 21st, we have a private meeting. So we'll be here, but we won't record. And then we go back to our weekly schedule. Okay?
All right. Sounds great.
Any final comments from anybody?
Well, I have a question, and this is for Leonie. Is it true that doctors in Canada take their vacations from October through, what did the guy say? November, because the money for health care runs out, so nobody can get any work done, any health care done?
That is 100% not true.
Oh, they're spreading lies on the internet. Okay. But okay.
Healthcare is available.
That's fake news again, huh?
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Leonie. Okay.
I did just want to say that tonight is the last address from President Obama. Yeah. And it's making me very sad. So I'm going to go listen to it. But I'm just not happy. I'm really,
For
really
millionaires. It's okay.
Okay.
No, but I'm glad you mentioned it. I forgot that was going on tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll give us some hope.
Because we already got the change part. We don't like it.
Some hope. I know that's right.
What did you say about Michelle?
Oh, what did I say? I don't quite remember. Well, that she had to.
That she had to say that.
Yeah, she had to speak about hope, because otherwise it's like, well, your heroin dealer will be on the corner at 6:30. Go out and get high, because the rest of the next 48 years is going to be terrible.
Yeah,
she can't say that.
But it really does frighten me to see the number of people who seem to just be acquiescing and normalizing this presidency. I mean, I feel like I'm watching some scene from Stepford Wives going on. And I mean, I know, there's a tradition of being respectful toward the president, but this to me is a very different kind of situation that I don't think it's wise to stand on tradition.
I think if you're polite, Michelle, yeah, it's beyond not wise. I just think that it is a Stepford Wives situation, and that the role I think of activists is to provide a counter narrative, so that when those who support Trump do wake up, they understand that there's a viable alternative to what they've been living in. Because I think things will have to get a whole lot worse before they do wake up. But I think when they're ready, you have to be ready to provide a viable alternative. Yeah.
It's just amazing to me how the media is pushing Kool-Aid. It's just like, even if you think you are woke or not sleeping, you don't know what media to trust, because I'm listening to CNN and it's just so much news that has this pro-Trump spin.
Yeah.
And so they were talking about I forget the name of the guy who was being vetted today,
Sessions? Is that
Sessions.
are they doing sessions?
And they kept talking about how even I think Schumer, was it Schumer? They were all talking about how they all hang out in the locker room and they have these locker room chats. And this guy is a racist. What do you mean you're sitting in the locker room? I'm just saying to myself, how is it that you're trying to make everything warm and fuzzy?
Right, because that's not a disqualifying factor for them.
No.
That's, you know, that's what's
He's
so
a part of
unsettling.
he's a part of the club. He's a part of the club. I mean, that's a big club. I mean, every time I look at the United States, I just think about Rome. That's it. You know.
That's good.
Bunches,
I think that's true.
yeah.
That's an all roads lead to or the demise.
I mean, you think about the you know, the big fat old senators sitting around the old bath, and you know, and then they go out there and play politics, and hey, it doesn't matter. The thing about the media is, if you're watching the news, you ain't getting no news anyway. They're a bunch of actors, so you just have to, you know, so you're not getting any news if you're watching it. You just have to try to read, you know, what you can and sift out the BS. You know.
Exactly.
That's why I like books, Joel. You know.
Yeah.
Because I think you have a little bit more of an opportunity to get to some facts. But
I just believe that, you know, even as African Americans, you know, the civil rights part, and you're talking about this lady, I am your sister, you know, black folk, you know, the black churches, civil rights leaders, and all those people, we can't come together on a common issue, even with you know, for civil rights with homosexuals, because they're dividers with the church. You understand what I'm saying? You know, we don't want to stand with them. I saw that in North Carolina. North Carolina almost got the same damn governor back in that everybody hated. You know, he only got voted out by 5,000 votes because most of the black folk would vote for him because of the damn bathroom law. You know what I mean? And because he galvanized the black church, and they almost put him back in. I was like, Jesus, you know, it's the bathroom. You know, but our thinking as black people about, you know, when it comes to homosexuality, almost cost us our freedom. You know, it's costing us our freedom because we won't even stand with, you know, with the homosexual and lesbian community and help them. They say, hey, let's band together for the common cause. You know, God love you. You know, but we won't do that. You know, we'll stand with the white racist evangelists. You know what I mean? You know, our church will stand with the white racist evangelists because, you know, that, you know, we're gonna save the soul and then hang their asses on Monday. I don't.
Right.
We all need to do a lot more thinking about what freedom really means. I mean, you know, America, you know, has historically projected this image of being the defender of freedom. But, you know, what do we really mean by freedom? When we are
as long as it look like us.
You know, right, when we are so easily, you know, on an individual and personal and collective level to take other people's freedom, you know. And so I think, you know, considering that discussion that we had about hope and vision and all of that language, you know, I think really until human beings do a lot more thinking about what we mean by certain terminology, we're just going around in circles. You know, I mean, because it boggles my mind that Black people, you know, some of the most oppressed people on earth,
pile on,
are so willing to, you know, oppress other people because they're different.
Yes.
You know, but George Orwell, a white man, is the one who wrote the book Animal Farm, you know, because this is not a Black person's problem. It's humanity's problem.
Yeah.
We don't seem to understand what it feels like to be in somebody else's shoes.
They have a saying in human services says, if you're a victim, if you don't get counseling, you'll soon become the victimizer. And that's where Black folk are at. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Once the victim, and now we become the abuser.
Right,
You know what I mean?
unless
Remember, yeah.
you move to high consciousness around it. That's what the counseling is. That's what Joy DeGruy is trying to say in post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Exactly.
There's a quote that I posted today from Audre Lorde, about being careful about not switching places with the oppressor, because you have to really ratchet up your consciousness to be aware of how your behavior is impacting other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, the only reason that the term and the system of white people were created was to keep all the others from joining together.
Yeah.
And here we are allowing this new white system, or however that's defined, that race, to still allow us to keep each other together. So they have succeeded on so many levels.
Absolutely. All right, you all.
Well, let's definitely go watch The President.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Peace and chicken grease, everybody.
All right.
Okay. Have a good week, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.
Hey, Georgette. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Kim. See you later, Lorde. See you later, Kim. See you